Good morning. I'm privileged to be asked to welcome you here to the Third World IC Summit. To our esteemed guests from China and abroad, thank you for joining us at this most important event. The world of payment is changing around the world. Here in China, you are making payment more secure with your work-to-use secure chip on payment cards. You're also moving your plans forward for mobile payment, wearables, and the Internet of Things. Digital wallets, as well as digital currencies, are moving into the payment sector worldwide, and we are all watching, planning, and asking many questions. That is why events like this are so important. This summit brings together banks, payment networks, processors, merchants, governments, and suppliers, all groups that work together to make payments safe and accessible. Here you will exchange information and ideas. You'll see innovative new products and services in the exhibition hall, and you'll form connections with people who can support your goals in the coming years. Before I talk to you about what I see happening around the world, I wanted to take a minute to tell you about iScan. It serves the global market by bringing together associations from around the world to support the use of smart cards and secure chips worldwide. It does this by building awareness of global activities and facilitating exchanges of views between participating national, continental, and global member associations. The Smart Card Federation of China is a founding member of iScan. I'm Catherine Johnson, chairman of iScan, and we are honored to be here with you in China. Technology is allowing us to offer new products and services, but it isn't clear as to whether consumers want these enough to pay for them. The emergence of internet banking, mobile phone banking, mobile payment, using a mobile phone to accept payment from a physical credit card, technology upgrades for the security of payment cards, and the introduction of electronics and digital currencies, all these and others have changed payment in just 10 years. These changes are reflected in the number of secure chips. Every year, Eurosmart, a member of iScan, reports on the number of chips or secure elements shipped during that year and forecast how many will be shipped in the coming year. As you can see, the numbers continue to grow every year. In 2014, the largest growth was in the banking sector. Much of that growth was because of the work you are doing here. Øyvind Rastad, the president of Eurosmart, announced the figures last November, and he said, "For payments, the ramp-up of the U.S. migration from unsecure magnetic stripe payment cards towards EMV chip cards is driving growth in the market. While financial chip card shipments in China will exceed 500 million in 2014. Contactless cards cover a growing share of the chip cards, with over 40% of payment cards including contactless functionalities." He also reported a strong growth in the government and healthcare sectors, with over 440 million units to be shipped in 2015. This is what he said: "In all regions of the world, secure and convenient access to government services is becoming possible via EID documents. In 2014, we count over 21 EID national programs in Europe, and 4 countries have already implemented an e-driving license program. The newly adopted regulation on electronic identification and trust services encourages EU member states to use certified secure elements to ensure an environment of trust for the electronic identification of their citizens." The smart security industry forecasts a growth of worldwide shipment of secure elements of 9% to 8.8 billion units to be shipped this year. The majority of those are SIM cards. They expected that 5.1 billion SIM cards would be shipped worldwide by the end of 2014, an increase of more than 5% from 2013. Then they said that although 5 billion SIM cards a year is a very big number, they forecast a single-digit yearly increase for the next year and beyond. As more and more of our daily activities are managed through our smartphones and tablets, there's a crucial need to ensure the highest security assurance level for connected devices. Due to the wider inclusion of secure elements by OEMs of mobile phones, tablets, navigation devices, and other connected devices, they've added a new issuer category to their forecasts named device manufacturers. When these embedded secure elements are added to NFC-enabled SIM cards, they estimated shipments of 350 NFC secure elements in 2014, and almost doubling that amount to 600 million units in 2015. Now these charts from Eurosmart show the growth since 2013. Let's take a look at what this means in my country. EMV is almost finished, with a small number of merchants still working to be compliant by December 31st. Mobile is progressing, and in a minute I'll show you what our banks are doing. Most of our credit and debit payment cards have both contact and contactless interfaces. 67% of payments in Canada are done electronically, more than in any other country in the world. And Canadians are now using mobile devices for banking, shopping, and payment. Let me give you just a few statistics. We are a very connected country. When you look at these figures, you see that 75% of Canadians have made a digital purchase. 14.25% of Canadians have used a mobile phone to make that purchase. Almost half of them started to buy something online but stopped because it was too difficult or too annoying to provide billing or shipment information on their phone. This needs to change. 45% of Canadians say that they would be more likely to purchase online if they trusted the safety of their information. And this too must change. What else is changing? Well, it's a race against the clock to keep up with all the opportunities made available by technology and the consumer appetite for convenience. This is not just challenging to banks and payment networks, it's also challenging for consumers. The number one complaint I hear from consumers is that sometimes their contactless card works and sometimes it doesn't. In reality, it always works, but financial institutions manage their risk by requiring certain transactions to be done in contact mode, but this has not been explained well to consumers. Consumers are also asking questions about security and privacy, and this impacts their use of new payment products. One of the biggest changes will be how we deal with the information we get when someone makes a payment. Who's entitled to know what we bought and how much we spent? Digital wallets and other changes will make it easier for more organizations to access this information. What will people and governments think about that? Banks are challenged to decide where to make investments and when to do it. But here's what the banks in Canada have done in the past few years. It's interesting to note that between 66 and 81% of Canadians over the age of 18 who use online banking on their smartphones use mobile apps to do it, not a mobile browser. We don't have information on why that is, but as I talk to people, they tell me that the apps are designed for their phones, so it's easier for them to see information and navigate through it on an app. It's hard to build business cases for many of the mobile offerings. Check deposit and mobile banking may be the easiest. If you can keep people out of the branch, you can cut your costs. Mobile payment is the hardest because the development costs and because of the fact that being able to pay by phone does not substantially increase transactions or bank revenues. What is needed are decisions on a global basis that allow for these new form factors, such as wearables, to enter the market with little to no expense for issuers, acquirers, and merchants. Other worldwide decisions need to be made concerning the security of new payment products and services. After many years of dealing with security by implementing EMV, the financial sector worldwide is now deciding where to invest. Many technologies are competing for those investments, and many new companies are willing to offer them. Our biggest challenge is deciding what would be best for our companies and our customers, and which ones, while interesting, don't make business sense. This is made harder by the speed with which these new products and issuing companies enter the market. Everything that technology can do will likely be offered by someone, but the long-term success of the financial sector will be enjoyed by those who make solid business decisions. The others will suffer the same fate as the many companies that offer .com products and services but couldn't make money doing it. Choosing when to make investments is critical to success, and it's driven by many factors. Do you want to be the first to market? Do you want to wait so that you know what your competitors are offering so that you can add extra value to your product? Only you know the answer to this. Worldwide, IC payment brands and issuers face the fact that new players such as Apple and Google have become a part of the payment process. We need to reinforce our relationships with our customers, reminding them of our value and offering them new reasons to stay loyal to us. Our final challenge has to do with other payment stakeholders. As payment becomes more digital, there's a need for every stakeholder group to work more closely with the others. Payment networks, issuers, merchants, acquirers and processors, suppliers, regulators, and consumer groups need to have input into how payment is changing. This is a much more complex environment than even 10 years ago. The decisions made by one group will impact the others, so talking together in the early stages, we can bring products and service to market faster, with less costs, and with less risk. In Canada, the government finalized the Code of Conduct for the debit and credit payment industry in April of this year. The first version of this voluntary code was put into place in August of 2010, following extensive consultations with merchant and consumer associations, debit and credit card networks, payment service providers, and credit card issuers across Canada. The revisions that came into place this year deal with contactless payment, mobile wallets, payment apps, and payment credentials. The code has been adopted by all payment card networks in Canada, including American Express Canada, Discover, The Exchange, Interac, MasterCard Canada, and Visa Canada. Now, earlier I talked about the challenges that each of our organizations face, but we also have global challenges related to security and crime. We must exercise patience when developing new products or services. We must take the time to ensure that the security and privacy are as robust as needed for our customers. And we must face the rapidly growing problem of payment fraud. We must also ensure that when solving a problem in one area of payment, we don't create a weakness in another. Internationally, law enforcement could use best practices developed by the financial sector. In the same way that we were able to establish and we maintain a global payment process, countries could use many of those processes to establish global laws related to payment. It won't be easy, but we've proven that it could be possible. Digital currency will continue to be an area of focus for the financial sector and for law enforcement. So in conclusion, the work you do is very important. It does touch the lives of people around the world. It makes them safer. It makes their day-to-day lives more convenient. This conference and the Smart Card Federation of China can help you meet your goals. And all of us at iScan wish you every success. Thank you.